Enid Plainsmen Football 2015.
Hey, we're all putting gas on today.
Plainsmen Football, getting it done. Plainsmen Football, where preparation is repetition.
Ready to go.
Enid Plainsmen Football, we don't get tired. Plainsmen Football, effort, technique, and how we treat one another.
Those are the things we're going to be great at. When people look at videos, they're going to see those three things.
Now, from the Enid Television Network studios, here's head coach Steve Hayes with Steve Kahn.
Wrap up, good tackle.
Welcome to Plainsmen Football 2015. I'm Steve Kahn with head coach Steve Hayes. Coach, welcome back. I don't think there's a full, 3 or 4 days since a full week, I guess, goes by till we meet. I say it's just incredible. And here you're approaching the 10th game of the season. Has it been a blur?
It has been a blur. I don't know if you remember the old Dunkin' Donuts commercial, The Time to Make the Donuts, where the guy passes himself on the way to make the donuts. I feel like a lot of times I'm passing myself, headed two different directions. There's no doubt. It goes quick.
Well, the Plainsmen lose to the Stillwater Pioneers by a score of 48-37 last Friday night. And if you want to call it a horse race or a track meet or just a lot of scoring, it was every bit of that. To begin with, Enid wins the toss and they choose to defer, so they'll get the ball in the second half. And so Stillwater gets the ball, the Pioneers march down the field, and I forgot how far, 18, 20-yard line, something like that. Mm-hmm. But anyway, it's a field goal attempt. They missed the field goal. Mm-hmm. And then, things are looking good. Mm-hmm. Good stop. Yep. They had a chance to score. Nope, we're not going to let that happen. Yep. So the Plainsmen get the ball, and as I say, you dial up excitement. First play of the game is excitement, and Devin Pratt decides to go 80 yards like that on the first play. What's the feeling on the sideline at that time after just seeing him 80 yards really quick?
I thought our kids came very prepared to play. I thought mentally they were ready to go. We started fast. I thought our defense did a great job of holding them on that first initial drive, and then for Devin just to take it to the house right down the middle of the field on the first play was an awesome way to start the game. And in essence, deferring paid off because we won a possession. We got a possession back by our defense stopping them, and essentially it means we started the game with the ball by scoring on that first play. And so really excited, really felt like we were in great shape. And in the first half, I think continued in that vein, and that offensively we scored every time we had the ball. I ended up going in at halftime ahead 24-21, and really in great shape knowing that we started the second half with the football and an opportunity potentially to go ahead by 2 scores.
Do you have this sense for the second half it's still going to be just like the first half, back and forth? Or do you feel like the defense will step up and really make some key stops along the way? Because it just seemed like whoever touched the ball was going to go score.
Yeah. I did think that it was going to be a high-scoring game just because Stillwater is pretty good on offense, and they had a good plan and executed it well against us defensively, kind of like what we did to their defense. And so, and later on in the year, I think what you find in high school football, especially, is the offense is they kind of surpass the defense in the fact they execute well, they're playing well, they adjust well, and so I think you see more high-scoring type football games later on in the season just because the offenses are playing at a much higher level. Definitely true for us, I think.
What's the conversation at halftime? You're ahead 24-21. Just telling everybody just stay at it, or what's the conversation like?
We really emphasize how important the first 2 series in the second half are going to be. Knew we got the ball. Yep. I knew it was going to be a big deal if we went ahead and scored and pushed the lead to 11 points. Or 10 points at that point, and so really emphasized that and how important it was to get a stop, because we knew in the game it was only going to take 1 or 2 stops by either team to be the difference, that there were going to be enough points scored that one stop and not scoring on a particular possession was going to have a big impact on the outcome. And so, thought Deion Randall did a great job of returning the pooch, had great field position on their 44-yard line immediately starting the second half. Then, unfortunately, that was the time offensively we chose to have our first 3 and out. And actually only, I think, got 1 yard on that drive, punted the ball down and gave them the football and really didn't take advantage of that opportunity to kind of push the lead.
Well, once again, Devin Pratt has another 200-yard game. he can't run anywhere. Of course, he can outrun everybody, but your offensive line is opening the holes for him.
They are.
I saw him running really hard, lowering the shoulder and running over some folks. But for him to get going, he had to have some help at the front.
He really did.
How pleased are you with offensive line performance and opening the holes?
You know, I thought the offensive line and the receivers all did a really good job of blocking because we had a lot of yards on the perimeter as well.
Yep.
And if you go back and watch the video, you know, all the kids really did a great, just played hard. I mean, just a lot of kids engaged and whipping their defenders and overall an excellent game offensively, I thought.
There was one particular play that I remember that was the pass was thrown out to the flat, and Devin had nowhere to go. I mean, everybody was playing the ball perfectly,
Yeah.
but a sidestep here, a sidestep there, some other blocks catch up, and so from being a probably 3-4 yard loss, it was a 12-yard game.
Yeah.
And that was the event all night. It seemed like tremendous amount of effort.
You know, the last month, Devin has been playing at such a high level. He's been amazing. He's an amazing player. He's going to leave a big hole to fill when he graduates and finishes up his career here at Enid.
Well, when you think about the Ponca City game to last Friday night,
Yeah.
not even the same team, right?
Don't even
recognize them.
Yeah, I agree.
And as a spectator, you know, as a fan, as I'm watching, I'm playing that comparison game, and I go, boy, they're doing this and they're doing that and they're running here, and it's got to be exciting. You hate to see the end of the season, 10th game approaching, because you see the growth and the progression of the team. But I guess it's mixed emotion.
Yeah, it's the epitome of what bittersweet is. I mean, I think you see the kids finally getting it, the light going on. I mean, there was a couple times in the second half our defense had big stops on 4th and 1. And we went out and capitalized. 7 minutes left to go in the game. We go down and we finally push our lead to 2 scores. And are really in good shape, I thought, at that point. We threw the hook and ladder and got a 75-yard touchdown from Deion Smith, which is the first touchdown of his high school career, which is pretty neat. And then to go ahead by 9 at that point, I thought, wow, we're in great shape here. We got a great chance to get this done. And Stillwater and their potent running attack strikes again.
Stillwater had a lot of speed.
They did.
Faster than I thought they would be.
Yeah.
You talked about the hook and ladder, I think is what you called it. In our segment, You Make the Call, we want to talk a little bit about, later on in the show, about that call, what sets up that call.
Yeah.
I mean, for it to really work, you really have to set it up.
You do.
And for them to think, okay, this is the same play. Whoops, that's not the same play.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that later in the show and You Make the Call. 48-37, still a lot closer than, to me, that the score sounds. Game's over with. What's the conversation with your players?
You know, all along we had really preached that one of the biggest reasons you want to play in the playoffs so you can spend another week together. And, you know, I think it's hard to offer a lot of comfort in that because you realize you only get one more week together. You only get one more week to coach the seniors. And, you know, I praise the kids for their effort because I thought their effort was great. They played like they wanted to win and they cared. They showed tremendous improvement over the course of the season. We just fell just a little bit short. And so just to encourage them to make the most of this last week and, you know, encouraging the coaches to do everything we can to provide them with the best opportunity to be successful and to finish the year on a high note with a win and to finish the year the best possible team that we can be because ultimately that's our goal is to be the best that we can be with the time we have together.
Thank you, Coach. And thank you for joining us on Plainsmen Football 2015. I'd like to remind everyone that you can watch the playback of Coach Hayes' comments and also the student athletes and the assistant coaches that join us on Enid TV. You can go to enidtv.org, or you can also watch the show on Channel 11, and I believe we're also airing it on Channel 12, and also in high definition at 111 and 112. Then also you can just follow the program along with the Enid Public Schools website. So we have different venues for you to watch all the shows that are out there. And Coach, all the previous shows that we've done are out on YouTube, so you can go back and revisit some of those, and the players can go back and revisit some of those shows as well. Well, we have Inside the Game, a segment with our assistant coach. That's coming up in a few moments. Thanks for staying with us on Plainsmen Football 2015. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Plainsmen Football 2015. I'm Steve Keim along with head coach Steve Hayes, and we have a special guest joined by the offensive coordinator, Coach Cameron Condor. Coach, welcome to Plainsmen Football. Appreciate you being here.
Glad to be here.
Before we talk Enid Plainsmen Football, just tell us a little bit about your background. You mentioned off camera a little bit about you spent a little time in Arizona. Just tell us a little bit about your background and then how you ended up here in Enid.
You know, I
In
was
20 words or less.
Yeah, I was born in Fort Bragg, North Carolina.
Okay.
Moved at a young age to Phoenix, Arizona. Went to high school in Phoenix, and also coached for 14 years in Phoenix at my alma mater, and then also at some other schools. And then moved to Texas, where I met up with Coach Hayes and was able to coach with him. And most recently, Coach Hayes had invited me up here and sold me the dream here in Enid, and I took that step, and here I am.
And here you are. As an offensive coordinator, just say that our viewer just really knows players are running up and down the field. That's all they know about football. And can you just kind of give us an overview of what an offensive coordinator role is all about?
Well, you know, there's obviously, you know, the day-to-day film breakdown, film study, getting kids to buy into what you're, you know, what you're trying to put on the field. But we all, as offensive coaches, we really collaborate together to develop that game plan over the weekend, and then put that work that we put in on the weekend, put it on the field Monday, and fine-tune it throughout the week, and then put a product out on the field on Friday night.
Well, Coach, I didn't realize that you came across the border, came to Oklahoma from Texas, so welcome to Oklahoma. Well, hope you have a great stay. Coach, he's all yours.
Coach Condor, what do you feel like positionally? You work also with the quarterbacks in the backfield. We've improved on the most at this year, especially with Darian.
You know, I think it's just understanding the offense and what we're trying to accomplish.
I agree.
Working through our clear, precise reads, and knowing who to get the ball to and when.
Yeah, you know, with the bulk of our quarterbacks being underclassmen and returning next year, with Mason Scrimmager and Colton Troxel and Darian, what do you feel like are some of our goals going into offseason as far as developing them and preparing them for next year?
You know, I think that it's really obvious as the quarterbacks coach that we need to get stronger, both mentally and physically, and get those kids that are in our program just one step closer to being a great high school quarterback.
I agree. What are some of your other responsibilities throughout the school year, just for the viewers out there to know what else you're going to be helping us out with?
You know, along with football, I also teach physical education at Hayes Elementary School. I will be moving on after football to wrestling, and then I will also be helping out with track, and then, you know, during track, also getting ready for the 2016 football season.
So you got a lot of busyness going on. Coach Condor is also instrumental in helping us with our facility because of your prior experience. For the viewers that don't know, he was owned a contracting company and had part of a lot of construction. And so, what are some things you see us doing in the field house over the next month?
Well, we're definitely gonna, you know, we're gonna put some new lockers in. We're gonna carpet the facility, the locker room area, as well as the coach's office and our meeting room. Get some new paint on the walls, get some carpet on the floors, and make that a place where the kids really take some ownership in. And I think that will, you know, really bring forth some pride in our facility, and it's always good for kids to see that newness and feel that newness as they you know, progress in this program.
It's going to be a dramatic facelift.
Yeah.
A lot of hard work. Appreciate him doing that. He's done a great job. I'm so grateful he's up here with us. He's been very important to our improvement this year.
Very good. Coaches, I have one more question for you, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, but why do you coach?
You know, I started coaching 17 years ago, and when I first started coaching, I really did coach for myself. and I got the thrill, the rush of being on the sidelines, getting to interact with other coaches, the players, and I've been involved in 6 state championship games, winning 5 of them, and you know, after you win state championships, you think that everybody's gonna come up and shake your hand and really wanna know you. It's not the case at all, and so I learned quickly after winning some of those titles and being a part of those great teams that it's all about the kids, and having a relationship with those kids, each and every one of them, is truly why I coach. Obviously, we all want to win, but to see those kids be successful, whether it's in school, in life, in football, you know, that to me is absolutely why I do it.
And on the other side of that, as old as I am, at 61 years old, some of the mentors and the people closest to me, I can go all the way back and I can recall some coaches' names that I've had. So it makes that impact. Well, Coach Conder, thank you for being on Inside the Game with us. We appreciate it. And we may try to have I'm not sure yet, we'll talk to Coach Hayes about this and his schedule, but we may try to have a year-end review and get all the coaches and all the student athletes back and kind of have a little reunion, talk about Plainsmen football then. So that's Inside the Game, and we'll have our student athlete in just a moment. Thank you for staying with us. Plainsmen Football 2015. We'll have more in a moment. Thank you for staying with us on Plainsmen Football 2015, and welcome to the Inside the Huddle segment. Our student athlete for the week is Chase Conder. Chase is a senior at Enid, and he's also plays on the defensive side of the ball as a linebacker and safety. Welcome to the program, Chase. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Let's forget about football for a moment, but do you have any studies of interest? You are going to class, right?
Yes.
Okay.
In high school, I really liked biology and life stuff like that, and science and math. And when I graduate, I want to be a chemical engineer.
Okay. Well, you lost me right there. When you said biology and sciences, that just left me. Because, you know, I'm the arts, I'm the shop guy, you know, the kind of, well, it sounds like you're really on the right track if you have an interest in those disciplines. And, well, good for you. What's the balance, the challenges you find in balancing the academic part with the fact that you got practice and that accountability there?
Oh, it's pretty difficult having to be at practice all the way until like around 6 o'clock and still having time to do homework and study for tests and everything, and being able to keep up with your grades and all that through school. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, all football players find a way to get it done, so it can't be that difficult.
And then there's the expectations from Coach Hayes. Somehow or another, he has these expectations for you to deliver academics and also on the football field. Coach, what questions do you have for Chase?
Well, Chase has a unique position, not just Coach Hayes' expectations, but playing on the same team that his father is also one of the coaches. And so, well, how do you that out? I'm glad you brought it up. How do you think the experience is different? You know, my son had to do it, and now you're doing it. How's it different for a kid who's playing on a team where his dad's the coach versus a kid whose dad's not the coach?
It's just football around, because you come home and you're still sitting there with your coach at home, mm-hmm. and you can still talk football at home, and you don't have to like text your coach and ask him about stuff. He's just right there in the next room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is good. That is good. Now, last Friday night, Chase led the defense with tackles of 22. Really had a standout performance on that side of the ball, and has been one of our physical hitters. What are some of the things you feel like you've really improved on this year, and maybe led to the way you played last Friday night? Definitely your best game.
Yeah. Well, I felt like through this year I've more matured as being like a leader mm-hmm. of the younger kids, because last year I still played like good football in my games and stuff, but mm-hmm. I wasn't really like the leader role, and mm-hmm. people didn't really look up to me as like a person like off the field. Mm-hmm. But I feel like I've matured more off the field than anything else.
Sure. Now, what are your plans as far as college when you get done? What do you think you're going to do?
I'm going to OSU.
Okay,
and I'm going to
good.
study chemical engineering pre-med and might think about being an anesthesiologist. That's an option.
It's a great option in life. I'm going to tell a story on Chase, and that we had an opportunity for the team to get out of some running if one of the players could answer an academic question, and all the team chose Chase to be the one to step up to the buzzer.
That's great.
And he was asked what the quadratic formula was and correctly answered it, thus getting the kids out of some running. So he was a big hero in that moment. And so if you're going to need an anesthesiologist in the next 10 years, this would be a pretty good person to get to know, because I have a feeling he'll do a great job.
Thank you.
What a way to win friends and influence people, know the right answer, and get people out of running.
That's right.
Well, Chase, let me ask you this. Now, I've asked some of the other student athletes through the year on Plainsmen football this particular question. If a young man is watching the show, and let's say they didn't participate this year or the last couple of years, or they've set out a few years, and they need to come back and be a part of the camaraderie and the team of Plainsmen football, what would you say to that individual who's considering coming back and playing football?
I would definitely come back. It's not even playing football. Isn't really about playing football. It's about becoming a better person, and a better man, and like learning how to grow up. And like it's about life. Like you get taught so many life lessons playing football that the football aspect of it doesn't even compare.
Yeah. Sometimes the game gets lost in the life stuff that you learn along the way. Well, Chase, we appreciate you being here. Any other questions, Coach? For
last week of football for you as a senior, what are you hoping for this week? And
I just want everybody to play hard, even though that they know that most people won't go on and play college football for our team, and that this is probably the last time they'll ever put a helmet on and strap up and play football. And not to be like devastated by it, that it had to come to an end sooner or later.
Sure.
Even if they do go play college football, they have 4 more years, and then they're gonna have their last game too.
Yeah.
So I mean, we all knew it was coming to an end when we started. So it's
hard to believe it's here, huh?
Yep.
It's
It's hard to wrap your mind around.
It is. I agree.
And then, Coach, I was told by my mother at this time in your life that it goes faster. We just thought it was fast. It goes faster. Chase, thanks for being with us today on Inside the Huddle. And we'll have more with Coach Hayes right after this. Thanks for staying with us on Plainsmen Football 2015. Thank you again for staying with us on Plainsmen Football 2015. And one of my favorite segments of the show is You Make the Call. And it's the opportunity of talking with Coach Steve Hayes and say, Coach, you go for it on 4th down, you do the onside kick, you go for 2, all the different, you make the calls, if you will. And there was a call in the ball game the other night, and this play has a variety of names associated with it, but I believe you call it the hook and ladder. And I know when it comes to a, quote, trick play, you really have to set it up because it needs to be sold that it's the same old play that it has been all night, and then, whoops, it's not. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what went into calling that pitch to, what's the young man's name? Deion
Smith.
Smith, as he goes around the side and off he goes down the sidelines.
We have a play that we run that we call China that basically is stops by the receivers. And we decided we run it a lot, and it's something that's familiar to defense that we'd throw the stop and then pitch it to the receiver coming around on the hitch and pitch. And so we actually started practicing this play probably a month ago. Practiced it with quite regularity in the last 3 weeks, knowing that we were going to need to find ways to score points Friday night and beat Stillwater. And so there's a lot of preparation that goes into it. Because it's a double exchange. And, you know, most trick plays are double exchange types play where there's more than one exchange that occurs, and it's an unconventional exchange, so it's not something that you do every day in practice. And so I really found the combination with Squire catching the ball and being the guy that pitches it, and Deion being the one that catches it, that we felt like worked. And so in the game on 3rd and 6 in the 4th quarter, where that was like kind of a medium range distance where the secondary would be off a little bit. Yep. We thought it was a good opportunity to do it, and what was great on the plays, there was 3 defenders around Squire as he was pitching the ball, I mean, after that, Deion's so fast, the play was over as soon as he caught the pitch and took it 75 for the touchdown. was an exciting play in the game.
And you touched on something that people don't realize, that it is a practice play. It's something that we just don't pull out of the back pocket and say, hey, let's try this. It's 3rd and 7, let's try this. That you do for the timing's sake and the selling sake of the fact that, oh, it's just a standard pass play, and then, oh, it's not.
Your trick plays take a lot of work. They really do. And you really have to plan them weeks out in advance, because typically the first week you practice them, you don't do them very well.
Well, congratulations. I'm glad it worked well, and sure looked good on film.
It's a good part of the game.
Each week, Coach, we've talked a little bit about the character development of the ball players. It's a lot more than running up and down the football field and doing drills and catching the ball and so forth. You placed an emphasis this year on the character development. And you said something earlier today about finishing strong, and I think that will be probably your emphasis for everybody this week.
You bet. You know, that this is the last week that we'll be able to, have breakfast together on Wednesday morning, that we'll be able to have a pregame meal together as a team Friday before the game, and all those things that we do that are so relationally driven. And that's what the kids are going to look back and miss the most when it's said and done, is those relationships with teammates and coaches, and how much they meant to them and how much time we spent together. And those seniors have no way to conceive what it's like to go from spending, even in the off season, hours a week with their teammates and coaches to immediately transitioning out and that never being the case again. A lot of these guys have been doing this since 7th grade as far as a school activity, have been in an off-season program since 9th grade, and it's such a drastic change of lifestyle that's so hard to anticipate. And so, we want to make the most of this week. We want to make it a quality week. We want to have fun this week and want those kids to have fun playing the game that they love Friday night, and hopefully do their best.
Well, Coach, we need to close out the show, but before we do that, real quick, let's talk about Putnam City West.
Okay.
I think you were saying which Putnam City West team is going to show up.
You bet. 2 weeks ago they beat Stillwater, and last week they get beaten badly by Eisenhower for Eisenhower's first win of the season. And they really have been kind of an anomaly all season long as far as winning games you don't think they should, and not winning games that they probably should. And so they're very talented. They have very talented receiving core, very tall, physical group of kids, and a very, very athletic, active defensive line. And so those are some things that we're going to have to really prepare for and focus for this week. And they're a scary team. You wonder who's going to show up, a team that's motivated to win. If they win this Friday, they make the playoffs for the first time since 1986. If they lose this Friday, they're out. And so we have the opportunity to play the role of a spoiler, and we're anticipating a team that's motivated and wanting to take that next step.
And you have a home game.
And it's a home game. Senior night,
so there's
be a big night.
There's a lot on both sides of the ball, people to play for, so it'll be an exciting time.
I think so,
this
too.
coming Friday night. As Putnam City West comes to town to play the Enid Plainsmen. Coach, again, goes so quick. Thanks for your time today to talk Plainsmen football, and we'll talk again next week.
Sounds good. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us on the show today. We appreciate the opportunity to share the assistant coaches, the student athlete, and also the comments from Coach Steve Hayes. So thank you for joining us again for Plainsmen football in 2015, and we'll see you next week. Until then, make it a great day.
We'll see you next week with another insightful show with Enid Plainsmen head football coach Steve Hayes.
Inside out. Give it to him. Good job, partner! Go! Hey. Touch! Come back! Here we go! Fire off! I'll drive it. He's gonna... There you go! There you go! Good job!
Thank you for watching Enid Plainsmen Football 2015.